Oh, Doug.
Hello, Uncle Dan.
You know, as uncles to the world, I feel like it is our duty to provide guidance to those who are seeking truth and beauty out in the world.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Are there such people?
No. They all just want to be racists.
Yeah.
But Uncle Mark, you've got some you've got some people to introduce us to. Maybe we'll all join.
You know what? These are some people to meet, and they're silly as fuck, but I think they might not be racist, and nobody died. So this is a first.
What?
This is a first in a religion we're going to meet. This, as far as I know, someone may write in and say somebody died of a fungal infection or something. But today, I want to talk about a really fun group of folks. Little preamble. You guys know how the 1960s were a pretty insane time in this country in a lot of ways.
Well, sure.
I wasn't alive in the 60s, so
Yeah,
we defer to you.
You're the only one who was.
I made it. I was just made it.
Got in under the wire.
Got in under the wire. But so anyway, gallons of ink have been spilled about the seismic shift that the post-World War II generation, which, if people don't know, are called the baby boomers.
Yes.
Made away from the kind of standard white American mainline Christianity and the social norms of their parents' generation, and they ran in a totally different direction, right?
Right, sure.
So we, Gen Xers, the greatest generation, I think, we also rejected the prior generation's particular conservatism, but the direction we largely ran in was into skepticism, inquiry, scientific method, and
just moody disaffection.
And the kind of snide anti-religious cynicism that has made this podcast the international toast of the comedic atheist podcast Borscht Belt that people of the world now find they can't live without. But
yes,
this
indeed.
is not about us. It's not about Gen X and how we made the world a better place. Did we?
Well,
I feel like we're doing it now.
Oh, now we are.
Yeah.
We made it just sort of
Starting now.
grumpy and goth for a long time.
the baby boomer set a low bar. Goodbye, baby boomer listeners.
Yes,
But
all six of you.
so
You know what you did. Shut up. They're not going anywhere.
Well, the America that the boomers hit their teens and 20s in was, by orders of magnitude, a far more stifling one than the sunny Christian vapidity of the Reagan years that we grow up in, fellas.
Oh, the Reagan years.
Yeah. So, I mean, try to imagine what life in the 50s and 60s was like here in America. Hyper-conservative.
Do I have to?
And,
Stiff.
Am I white or am I black?
Conformist, suspicious of anything interesting, and that's just for we white men.
Yeah.
Imagine everybody else, for fuck's sake. So, the direction the baby boomers ran in was decidedly east. Somehow, in the spiritual desert of the America of the time, with the huge social changes, the Vietnam War, lynchings, assassinations, it was old Eastern philosophies, or more often some strange mashup of a little bit of that with a little bit of this, a dash of saffron and cardamom. Throw in a fanatical devotion to a mysterious guru you don't really look very thoroughly into, and boom. This is why your old baby boomer aunt still wears Buddhist prayer beads and blousy MC Hammer style pants with faded peacock print. The boomers had a fever, and the only prescription was more sitar. The age of Aquarius beckoned, saying, "Come on in, boys, the water's fine." So I'd like to visit just such a weird little patchwork of human yearning, a little Hindu, literally, the 60s, and an event that really summed up the whole shebang just so. So today, guys, I want us all to meet the Divine Light Mission.
Woohoo!
Hooray.
And I hadn't really heard of these people before, so this is they were a nice surprise. So, little background on who they are. The original Indian sect was founded in 1960 by Guru Hans Ji Maharaj. I don't know how he got the first name Hans, but his teaching mostly stemmed from the Bhagavad Gita, which we're all intimately familiar with.
You've heard of that Hans thing does make one suspicious.
A little bit.
It's like was there an Indian equivalent to the boys from Brazil? Was there a
Franz was taken.
So, he also had this other strain of Hindu thought, which is called Sant Mat, which encourages followers to find a particular holy man or saint and just follow them. Right?
Sure.
So
we encourage that. We give people saints all the time.
That's true.
his name is Uncle Mark. So this guy, G. Maharaj, taught a secret meditation technique called simply knowledge. And he managed in a few short years to gain 6 million followers in India and thousands elsewhere. So whatever he was selling, people were buying.
E-meters.
Well, maybe. You'll see. They probably make sense. So in 1966, Guru Ji Maharaj up and died. Or vibrated off to the next plane or whatever the followers of Sant Mat claim to go when they die. And this is where the story gets interesting. He had 3 sons, and through some kind of mystic crapshoot, it was concluded that the youngest, Prem Rawat, would be the next sainted guru.
Okay.
So at the moment of his ascension, he was 8. Oh my God. 8 years old. Obviously, we all know this was the will of the gods, and the divine is not to be questioned. But as we know, the divine will always needs a little bit of a nudge. And it seems that nudge was provided by the wee lad's mama, Rajeshwari Devi, who came to be called Mataji. She suddenly found herself the caretaker and mouthpiece for the young saint, as well as the holder of the divine light's ever-expanding purse strings.
She was the Cersei Lannister of divine.
Yeah,
light.
she was the Mana Sheila. Mataji was the Mana Sheila of... Anyway.
Right.
We're crossing a lot of streams here. So anyway, a few years pass, and the spoiled, rascally Dauphin of Delhi is itching to get out there and get his guru out from underneath Mataji's suffocating shadow. He's all of 15 and looks very much like a slightly younger version of Jack Black and Nacho Libre.
Mom, let me be a guru.
So Prem Rawat, which my autocorrect kept insisting on changing to prenup, now rechristened as Maharaji, slipped his crib, ditched Mataji, and headed to both the U.S. and the U.K., where Western devotees reacted to his arrival like girls everywhere when the Beatles deplaned. He updated his father's more traditional Sant Mat practice by adding the Bible to the Holy Canon, along with some other books. And his followers began to insist he was the second coming of the guy whom the common curse term Jesus Christ is named after. And he didn't not deny it. So his U.S. and U.K. missions really took off, and his people started opening ashrams, which are basically a meditation version of a church house, all over the place. And it was around 1972 that the boy who drank Hawaiian punch with every meal and liked to ride a mini motorbike around his mother's bedroom chose for himself a modest title, typical of humble Hindu holy men, the Lord of the Universe. And wow, that was a madman-style moment of marketing genius, because his U.S. followers spooged out of their third eyes when they heard that.
So, I love it.
It seemed
How big was his mom's bedroom?
Huge.
So he could have ridden a full-size bike. He just chose a small one.
He couldn't have operated a full-size bike.
Oh, yeah.
He's as I'll demonstrate, he's a diminutive Lord of the Universe.
I see.
So it seems that the controlling Mataji quickly forgave him staying out past curfew when the swelling membership rolls ensured her continued comfort behind the tinted windows of their Mercedes and the gates of their mansions. And she and his older brother soon joined him in the U.S. So Maharaj, and now he's called Maharaji, remember, his late father's birthday was celebrated by devotees every year in India as Hans Jayanti on November 9th. The Lord of the Universe's mom.
Oh, we just missed it.
We just missed it.
We missed Giant Hans Day?
Giant Hans. So the Lord of the Universe's mom and big brother decided that in 1973 they would celebrate Hans Jayanti, not in India, but in the United States. And they would call it Millennium 73.
Which doesn't mean anything.
Doesn't mean any. 1,000 years, 73. So, fellas, just a little diversion here. What would you call the most significant event in human history? I'd say maybe when we developed fire, which allowed us to break down food, and our brains got bigger.
It's probably the day I was born.
I think the season 3 Cheers premiere was the
That was pretty hard.
That was a big
That's a big one.
That was fire right there.
World War I, the atom bomb, Bird Box. Well, according to the organizers of Millennium 73, it would be the most significant event in human history.
Yeah.
Which would usher in 1,000 years of peace and convince every single human being of the divine light of the 15-year-old Lord of the Universe, Maharaji.
In fairness to them, look at the piece that has happened just since then.
Since 1973.
They've done a fantastic job. Like, the piece is unbelievable.
These past 45 years have been sleepy.
Nobody Google Rwanda.
Nobody Google anything.
History. So, guys, it's such a rare thing, isn't it, in our religious researches, that some prophet or new Messiah proclaims the end of the world or the second coming or a rain of comets or whatever on some date certain, only to gather with their flock on the mountaintop to greet the glorious final dawn, then the last noon, then the ultimate 3:45 p.m., then the final 6 p.m., followed by the long, awkward silence of the car ride back home. It's amazing how frequently that never happens among our prophetic subjects, isn't it?
Yeah.
So it was decided that the event that would change the world forever would be held in the holy city of Houston.
Yeah.
At the great temple known to the deeply religious as the Astrodome. The Guru's family and organizers sunk all the 1973 dough they had into this spectacle, about $1 million in those days dollars, which I don't know, that's more now, knowing it would come back a zillion-fold. Yeah. So the Astrodome was secured, flyers were printed. The Guru's biggest fan and Western financier, which is the very strange diversion, Rennie Davis, of the Chicago Seven. They were a group of lefties who were charged with inciting the riots at the 1968 Democratic Convention. Anyway, he traveled the country on a 25-city blitz where he claims to have spoken to over 1 million people in each city. They even organized an event in front of the White House, inviting noted New Age hippie President Richard Nixon to attend. So with this massive media blitz and the capacity of for the Astrodome, a modest 66,000, the Guru and his family first claimed 100,000 would come, then 144,000, citing the numbers of elect from the Book of Revelation, and then 400,000. Whoa! How grand an affair! As the date approached, followers were concerned with the ability to fit what they expected to be the massively overcapacity crowd inside when the Astrodome inevitably broke free of its foundations and fled Houston, as everyone eventually does, and headed off to heaven.
Oh, my God.
Others were trying to work out parking arrangements for thousands of cars, as well as the expected retinue of flying saucers.
I just want to know what the office poll was on, like, the sound that it would make as it flew through space. I'm betting on a meow 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 meow.
So what did my brain broke.
Uncle Doug has just had an aneurysm.
Doug's very red right now.
Why this bit? Why is it? Because it's shaped like a flying saucer?
I guess.
Okay.
I guess.
It's very domey.
Yeah.
It's a big circle.
So the event itself, it promised to be 3 days of love, praise, music, and, of course, the promised knowledge meditation technique. From the pardon me.
Also space travel.
And space burp. From the Lord of the Universe, and maybe, just maybe, a structurally questionable flight through space in an aging sports stadium. So, a 60-piece rock band jammed out.
A 60-piece rock band.
60-piece rock band.
What is that like?
Nice.
Just 50 guitars and 8 drums and
well, there's
one sad bass player.
I'm going to put a link to this. There's a documentary made about this event.
Oh yeah,
yeah. PBS made a documentary called Lord of the Universe in '73 about it. It's pretty fucking hilarious. So, yeah, 60-piece rock band jammed out a constant medley of popular rock songs and specifically written praise songs about Mataji. The band, perfectly named Blue Aquarius, was, and I'm using air quotes, conducted by a person named Bolji, and that was the Guru's 20-year-old brother, also known as the Lord of Music.
Oh.
And so when you watch the film of him, he was clearly not a conductor. He just kind of danced and wriggled in front of the band. And he clearly wasn't a dancer either because he was just a hot mess.
Right.
Think like late-stage Elvis, totally lost in the rhythm, trying to cover by half-assedly playing air trumpet for a few beats and then air other instrument. Just a total mess. What's crazy is the band sounds great. Like, the band is really good.
Oh, really?
Kind of playing like Jefferson airplane-ish kind of shit.
I think Jefferson Starship. I don't know if that this point in the career.
Stardome.
They were not yet, Jefferson Astrodome. They were not yet the Astrodome. But they sounded great, and the reason is the actual work of organizing the band was done by a devotee who happened to be the Bee Gees drummer.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
So he actually made the band work. They said, and they kind of said,
Wait, he wasn't the master of music or whatever it was?
He wasn't the Lord of Music. The Lord of Music was a sweaty, chubby guy in a 20-year-old kid in a silver sequin suit wriggling around in front of the band.
Yeah, what they needed was the Lord of the Dance.
Blue Aquarius, ladies and gentlemen, and Michael Flatley present the Lord of the Universe for some reason.
Sure.
So a stage was built for the Maharaji. Now, uncles, I know a little bit about scenic design. If I was trying to feature a Lord of the Universe that's about 2/3 a Miscavige properly, I would probably not put his
International unit of measurement.
Yeah, this is how all religious leaders are measured in
Miscaviges.
In Miscaviges, he was 2/3 of a Miscavige, so I probably wouldn't.
Brigham Young was probably 2 Miscaviges, 2 full Miscaviges.
Yeah, he was 2.1 Miscaviges. But if I was trying to feature this little fellow, I would not put his wee little chair at the base of what looks like a 50-foot logo for a 1970s natural gas company. So you've got a 60-piece band, a throne for Godzilla, all set in a 42 million cubic foot arena. That's really how much space is in this arena.
Jesus.
You could lose a petite Lord of the Universe in there if you weren't careful. And when you watch the documentary on the subject, as I did, you will see he's very lost indeed. They tried to make up for it by putting like a 4-foot gold crown on his head. So, well, guys, you'll be surprised to know that the anticipated 400,000 didn't show up.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
My question is, did the audience outnumber the band? Because if they did, then that's a success.
It was a close to break even, so the hoped for 200,000 didn't show up, nor the biblically magical 144,000. The organizers put the total at 20,000 and the police at 10.
Oh, no way.
So looking at the video, it's not a pretty sight.
Still,
there's
you know
plenty
what?
of room in the overhead bins for your luggage.
Let me tell you something. 10,000 is a solid number.
Yeah.
Like, to get 10,000 people into any one event, like, obviously, if you've organized for 200,000, you're going to be disappointed by those figures. But 10,000 is pretty damned amazing.
We're awesome, and we got about 30 people at our meetup.
Yeah.
So
I think we should shoot for 200,000 for the next meetup.
Well, you prepare for the flying saucer you want, not the flying saucer you get.
the flying football stadium. So it's not a pretty sight. In the restaurant business, they say it's better to have a small place that looks busy with 20 people than a big place that looks empty with them.
Right.
The Astrodome turned out to be a poor choice. But it was also a poor choice financially. Turns out renting out one of the biggest arenas in the country, building massive stages and sets, going on a huge national press tour, etc., and to complete that brilliant business plan, make the entire event free to all attendees, was not as profitable as they'd hoped.
Do they not know what? Do they not know about any other religion ever?
Right.
You charge.
Yeah, it was totally free.
Or you, at least you pass around the hat, but, you got to have a big hat for 10,000 people.
So basically the Divine Light Mission collapsed under the debt from the festival, and the young Maharaji married somebody and became an emancipated minor to get away from his family after the embarrassing catastrophe. They, in turn, his family went back to India and started again without their Lord of the Universe. Maharaji also quietly slipped out from under that title and took to calling himself Prem Rawat again, rejecting his divine pretenses and trying to rebrand himself as a motivational speaker.
As Lord of only half the universe.
As Lord of Finance.
Master of coin.
Which he did. He's still around, but now in a polo shirt and slacks, rather than an elaborate gold crown and curved, pointy-toed slippers. Devotees, still mostly baby boomers, fly to a remote Australian camp to give him their money, and it seems there's no promise the tents he rents them for $3,000 a week will fly off to heaven.
Oh.
But here's to a once-failed young entrepreneur bouncing back and putting the same shit in a different bottle and at long last making a buck.
Yeah.
And for once, as far as I can tell, I got to cover a religious story without a body count
Boom, baby.
So yay for me.
I mean,
That's great.
you say there's no body count. What happened to those other 190,000 people?
Right. They went to the wrong stadium.
They are dead.
They went to the wrong stadium and flew off to the wrong planet.
To the wrong planet.
Yeah. So that's the Divine Light mission, fellas.
There you go. You know, I looked up Astrodome while you were talking.
Yeah.
And here was his big mistake. If he had just gotten Evel Knievel, because Evel Knievel drew over 100,000 spectators to jump 13 cars. On a motorcycle.
Well, Evel Knievel could have jumped Blue Aquarius.
Yeah, if Evel Knievel had jumped the band,
Right.
boom, you got your 200,000.
Showbiz, baby.
Easy. They just didn't think.
That would have been the biggest event of the 1970s, period.
Period.
Yeah.
That existed.
So let's all enjoy the 1,000 years of peace we now inhabit because of Millennium 73.
And Melania Trump's autocorrect changes every word to prenup.
All right, let's move on.
Moving on.